This video is sponsored by EcoFlow. Well, good morning and welcome back to the channel. It's a beautiful morning here in Cambridge, but today we're going to be looking at power stations. Now, for those of you who have been around the channel for a while, you'll know I have a bit of a problem with batteries in that I can't stop buying them, even though the Chief Financial Officer says I've got to stop. These are just a few of the power stations that we have around the house. Okay, now this might seem a little extreme, but let's talk power stations and what we use them for. Now, for most of you who've been around the channel a while, you'll know in the garage there we have about 27 kilowatt hours of solar edge batteries. We also have our EcoFlow stream system in my office behind me. Those are house batteries. These are power stations. These do a different job. Although, in the case of the bigger ones, they kind of cross over. But let me just sort of walk you through what we use them for, what each of these does, and then let's talk about something new. Now, let's start with the big one. So what you can see here, we have, these are the Delta Pro series of batteries. These are 3.6 kilowatts each. So there's a 3.6 kilowatt battery here with an inverter, plus an add-on battery, giving us about 7.2 kilowatts between them. These connect to my EcoFlow power stream and they supply power, they supply base load for the house for a large portion of the day. Now, normally we don't use these in the traditional power station role, even though they're very heavy, approximately 50 kilos. They do have a really nice feature in that they have this pull-out handle and a set of wheels. So if you need to, you can move them around quite easily. But as I say, these are connected to our power stream inverter and they just deliver base load to the house. Then if we come this way, we can see the baby that is covered in mud. Now, this particular power station, hello bear. This particular power station here lives down at the stables. My wife's horse is stabled not far from here, actually about a couple of miles out in the fens. Hello, can I get on with the video, please? And they just don't have any mains power down there. And because it's so far away from where most people live, there is a real problem with theft around the local stables. So we keep this locked up down there, but it allows her to charge this up at home, take it down there, and then draw power to charge electric fence batteries, to make a cup of coffee, or for just generally things that they use power for. And as you can see, mud, straw, hay, it's done a sterling job for the last 2 years. But it is a little on the small side. Then we come up to the new Delta 3. Now this is the Delta 3, this is a 1 kilowatt power station, or 1 kilowatt hour of storage. This actually, I use this to run as a UPS in my office. So it supplies power to my streaming studio, to all of the computers. It keeps them all running all day long. And because this has UPS technology built into it, it means if the power goes out for any reason, even for a microsecond, this will continue to keep all the computers and the Wi-Fi all running, no problems at all. But there's really not much difference between the two. What we've really noticed is as we go into the winter, we need a bit more capacity. And there really is a kind of gap here between the small 1 kilowatt power stations and the 3.5 kilowatt power stations, because we don't want to be lugging these up and down to the stables. Even with the wheels, these become difficult to move, and especially once you get them, into fields where there's mud, this is not really the ideal kind of thing. So what we really need is something here. This is the brand new Delta 3 Max, and I love this power station. This power station seems to solve all of the issues of the smaller ones, bring a lot of the features from the larger ones into a 2 kilowatt hour battery. It is pretty portable. I can lift it up with one hand. You wouldn't want to carry it around a lot with one hand, but it is a nice size and it's really transportable. And it means that if we need to take it down to the stables for a couple of days to make hot water, to charge fence batteries, to defrost horses' water troughs, this is the power station for it. Let's head back inside and let's take a closer look at the Delta 3 Max. Okay, we've brought both units into the office, so we've got the standard Delta 3 Plus and we've got the Delta 3 Max Plus. Now, this isn't going to be an in-depth feature by feature review. What I want to do is point out a couple of the things that that really stood out to me, and then we're going to put these units to use. We're going to get them down to the stables, and we're going to start actually living and using them. So both of them look pretty similar from the front. 4 standard UK plugs. You have a maximum on the Plus of about 3,000 watts. So however you divide up 3,000 watts, you can output 3,000 watts across all 4 of those sockets. Now, it does say you can surge up to 6,000 watts. Now, that means that if you've got a device that has a big startup charge, something like a circular saw, in the first second of running a circular saw, it will use a lot more power to overcome the momentum of the saw, and then it will settle down. So again, you can almost double that, go up to 6,000 watts in surge. USB sockets, as you would expect, so 1 USB-A and 3 Cs, and 2 of each on the standard unit. The one thing I really do like on here is that on both units, you've got 140 watt USB-C. That means I can charge my MacBook when I'm on the road. Instead of having to carry around that really awkward Apple charger, if this is in the boot of the car, plug the laptop into that. This thing will charge the laptop for a whole week. I'm going to spin them both around because there's a couple of things on the back to take a look at. So, now, sometimes it's the little things. It's the little things that I really like. The fact that you can open the door, but if you don't want them getting in the way, you can just push the doors in. It's just nice. They don't get broken. They don't accidentally get banged. On the Plus units, you get 2 solar inputs. So on the Max Plus, you can go up to 1,000 watts of solar. So if you're taking this thing camping, you can roll out a couple of solar panels, plug 1 into each, and again, go up to about 1,000 watts there. Another nice feature of the EcoFlow systems, certainly on the larger systems, which you get on the Plus, on the Max, but you don't get on the standard system, is this button here. This lets you vary how quickly it charges. So you can either set it to full power, or you can set it to a lower level, which you can define within the app. So for instance, if I know I've only got 200 watts of solar coming in, I can just plug this into the mains. I can go into the app and say, charge it up, but don't go over 200 watts. And that way I'll just continually sip what's excess solar I've got coming in off my main panels. So all your inputs at the top here, so mains input for charging, mains input charging switch, and a couple of solar inputs at the top. Now, when we go below, on the smaller unit, you've got your standard 12 volt, what used to be called a cigarette lighter socket. I think they just call it a 12 volt accessory now. And a couple of smaller sockets there if you need to be able to take 12 volts DC out. But on the bigger unit, you've got the battery socket here. So again, if you want to extend the battery to a plug-in battery, you can do it through these sockets. But you've also got an Anderson socket. Now, Anderson sockets are something that most people don't use, but if you want to do battery-to-battery charging, for instance, if you wanted to put this into a camper van where you would have an alternator charger, this is a great way to take power out of this battery into other devices. So you could have this device charge off of the alternator charger, charge it up, then you could take 12 volts DC out of that into some other system. So really useful to have that. It's not something that everybody's going to use, but it's nice to see it being added there on the Plus. So that's really all I'm going to say about these. The proof, as they say, is in the pudding. So I have got my off-road trike set up outside. We're going to get this loaded into the back of the trike, and we're going to get it away down to the stables. We're going to go and charge some electric fences from it. We're going to go and melt some water, or we're going to go and set it up so that it's ready the next morning that it freezes. We can melt some water for the horses, and we're going to put it to use and see how it performs. Almost like it was made for it. So, just to keep everything in place. And there we go. We're all ready to head off down to the stables and sort out a few jobs down there. Okay, off to the stables.
Now, for you know I'll be gone.